So we have now reached our second wrap-up piece in terms of Visions of Atlantis album selections, at least what's gracing this channel. Not the final track listing on behalf of Wanderers, right, in order. This is the 10th piece out of, I believe, 13. So this is the 10th work, right, not the album conclusion, but I've picked out a generous selection to give us a well-rounded perspective in experiencing Visions of Atlantis perhaps for the first time, certainly in terms of gracing this channel and for my own listening experience. We've had quite a fun ride, though, today. And this is mimicking, again, the path we took similar to the conclusion wrap-up of the first album, or the preceding one, that being The Deep and the Dark with The Last Home, right? We're now to that point for the title piece, Wanderers. And I did think it'd be fun to add this one in, given in terms of acquiring the tracks myself, because as I've said many times, in order to support the artist, it's just the angle I like to take, I pre-purchase all the music I consider on this channel. So I did manage to look at a couple of storefront pages. I think it was on the iTunes notice that this piece, or maybe it was on view count, I forget exactly what it was, but there was something in terms of like a high traffic and concentration in terms of chatter and recognition that this piece kind of compelled an interest. There was something about it. And maybe it's just the fact that it was the title piece of the album's work. Possibly. I don't know. I forget exactly what it was. I consult a number of different types of tracks and artists on this channel in the music respect, so you forgive me maybe some experiences and patterns of what's coming, at least in preparation, are overlapping from group to group. And I've certainly been covering a lot of music tonight. I'm going to be on the road tomorrow, and I've been meaning to fast track a lot of coverage, so I'm doing a lot of prep work. It's a fun ride that Visions of Atlantis is taking us on, right? It's an incredible journey for not only this channel, but to have with all of you in terms of a mutual respect, as I love to do with music. I've said many times, and in association to Visions of Atlantis, music is a favorite art form for me. It is my preferred out of the artistic languages, and it's been a long-standing aspiration to put it in a concentrated highlight position alongside the other artistic mediums. In particular, I mean, no explanation necessary of Visions of Atlantis if you've humored them before, right? It's self-explanatory in terms of talent. I just love the fact that we get to experience fulfilling art in a mutual manner, right? In a bit of an, yes, admittedly unorthodox path, but I'm providing you an opportunity to enjoy works of me in cooperation, where in isolation, it might be okay, and you might still feel like all these works are great, but it's just not the same as enjoying music corporately, right? And perhaps allowing for an inspiration for new paths to set in for prospective listeners, right? Maybe you've not happened down the Visions of Atlantis route. I know a number of you have, because again of how frequently they grace my comment section on recommendation. I love fulfilling your guys' requests and curiosity as to my thoughts, and I love introducing myself to new talents, especially in the European vein. Enough said there. It's such a talented landscape I cannot escape because of, again, just the mastery of craft out there and the variety of application and execution is just so good. So fulfilling in terms of metal delivery. Although we have talent abroad for sure. I'm not meaning to undercut anybody, perhaps of other artists I feature on the channel for sure, right? But Europe always impresses me, especially in Grand Ambition. They have it. And Visions of Atlantis perfectly fills that role. Maybe this will be your first introduction to the European foray. Maybe some even more specifically to Visions of Atlantis. I think you'll have a fun ride. I would recommend consulting past tracks we've considered on this channel for sure, and maybe even further back of Visions of Atlantis. I'm going to do that myself and dive deeper back into their past library of work to get even a more fulfilled understanding, right? I wouldn't be surprised if I end up pre-purchasing all their stuff, just outright and then listening to it again because of the command they have. I've done that for other groups in the European respect as well. It's been a fun journey, though, and I hope you have a fun ride, too, if this is your first introduction. A bit of a, wrap-up of sorts, and not our last journey, for sure, Visions of Atlantis. We're going to get the next album pretty soon. I'm really curious to hear that one. We're going to get to that, though. We're going to pause that discussion for a minute and humor Wanderers, the title track of the album. Let's see the evolution of this piece. I'm genuinely curious. I forget exactly why I chose it, but it gives us a well-rounded perspective, because again, I might be mixing up memories here, in terms of other bands and why I approached other works in terms of selection of departing from the normal mechanism of running by visualizer models. That's normally, again, how I determine the selection, to be fair to other artists and accommodating to give us a wide scope when possible. But if necessary, I might add in a few, or maybe just by desire, right? There's been occasions of that as well. This piece, I forget why, but it's another experience we get to humor Visions of Atlantis together. I'm sure you're very happy and delighted by that. Anybody who, again, has put their name as a grace in this channel's perspective. And as I always have said today, thank you for bringing them to my attention. They've deserved to be highlighted here. I feel quite honored to be showcasing their talents. Loving the journey, becoming a fan of theirs. Though many of you, again, advance me in terms of your familiarity, but it's an honor to join your community and your ranks. I love being exposed to, again, such apt talent. Vision of Atlantis, completely qualifies. I'm going to go and queue up Wanderers. We can be introduced to the track mutually for ourselves together. The mythos of the piece. I have not yet read it for myself. I'm excited to. Let's commence the track and pair that in association. All right, hang on. Shoot. I had the wrong window highlighted. Like, okay, if I push the spacebar, it's supposed to start up. This one, again, is returning to a softer approach. That's been a mainstay of this album, at least on the tracks we've humored together.
Open heart,
I like the pause.
eyes, lost in trains of thoughts, dreaming of exotic skies, incomplete as we go. Despite all
A visionary work on imagination. I like its style of dreaming.
We still find a giant void tarnishing our minds as we've walked many roads and we've strolled
Really soothing.
as we've sailed all the seas.
Just carries you right along, doesn't it? Like a pleasant sea voyage. I love how in mood it evokes again the vision. I love the intensity of the vocals again with that central piano emphasis.
We will know that there is nothing greater than to find our home.
We're almost halfway through the number. But it's a gorgeous piece on construction. It's cool to examine, again, the variety of approach that Visions of Atlantis has. We have some harsher numbers, we have some softer numbers, certainly ones of a symphonic drive, and this one does qualify, again, more so in the ballad territory. The vocal layering on that was great. In terms of, I believe, yeah, 2 feminine layerings, I believe, on behalf of, it could be a duel on Clementine or somebody else. But it's cool to hear that departure, and it works.
As we learn, we will know that there is nothing greater than to find our
There's the strings intersection. Again, I like this ascendancy pattern we get towards the end of the conclusions. Cool key mixture. I'm assuming this is our return. And it ends on that softer note. I like it, especially on that lower octave. Just a natural, easygoing piano score. That's quite good. Again, you know, as I said with Visions of Atlantis in the beginning, I considered intentionally, right, a vaster canvas of tracks to consult to give a wider view of different applications of what they, or well, at least to allow for that. Because I was aware going in, right, symphonic, power, and melodic metal influences. Of course, all are attracted to me, notably the symphonic. Taking that expansive perspective gives you, again, a greater, for lack of a better term, vision on their capabilities. So from going to maybe more aggressive numbers, even the softer ones, at least what we've humored thus far in terms of ballad taste, still have that metal foundation of that intersection that might play a role, but it could be more so, again, suppressed. This is definitely the softest of the pieces, but it's just so natural and easy to approach. It feels quick, by the way. It only just short of a little over 3.5 minutes. I think it's because, again, it feels so even, right? And that procession is just, it's continuous, right? Not obstructed. It's just such an even flow. And you have Clementine's vocals that just naturally blend with the procession of the work at a lower octave, and it does increase from time to time. It's so sentimental, emotional in delivery, perfectly executed, with a great layering, too. I don't know who was an accompaniment. It could have been Clementine layered over in terms of like a dual role. It wasn't Michel. That was fun, though. I liked it. A good blend in terms of, again, that duality. And that's not something, as I've acknowledged before, I knew going in with Visions of Atlantis, that there is that dual balance. But yet hearing, again, a more feminine emphasized, at least in central focus, when it comes to that bond, that was really cool to see a fresher take, right? And how it blends with that piano intersection, of which, I experienced a bit of a nostalgia ride. I have said before, I don't come from a musician's perspective. I come from a music connoisseur, right? But the closest I got in terms of the music world, in terms of actually producing anything, was 5 years of elementary to intermediate piano. That was many moons ago. I was much more, ambitious in terms of being like a percussion guy, but that never happened. Some dreams don't play out, but piano never did. But it was a beautiful instrument, certainly, as to listen to for those who continue down that route, whereas I took a pause and, I had other things happen in my life, other places I went, right? We all have unique lives and we live different destinations of where we go. It's a beautiful piece of humor, though, when you hear, again, like I said, a central piano ballad. There's a reason, again, that type of instrument resonates and is just so easygoing in approach for maybe even people who might not necessarily be, at first glance metal fans, right? Or who might kind of wade off the idea or perspective idea of humoring a piece just on, again, maybe an inaccurate suspicion that, it's going to be like an aggressive metal number of like headbanging and flashy stuff. Hey, I prefer that, right? But I know not everybody does. Music is a deeply subjective experience, especially in application of genre and taste. So maybe a piece like this would establish a bridge for anybody out there that's not necessarily a metal enthusiast by choice, but you're open to hearing good at song delivery and application, right? And you have an open door policy like me. So maybe you welcome a piano number, right? And then maybe it's Clementine's vocals that transfix you. Maybe it's the orchestration of a symphonic balance, right? The nature of the pieces, the storytelling vibe, the resonant lyrics. That's what brings you in. And so you're like, I want to experience more. And you forgive the fact that maybe you're not necessarily a metal fan, right? And you overlook it to experience something deeply attractive. I like when that happens. I've been in that situation before of different types of genres myself. Not necessarily, though, with Visions of Atlantis, because I'm already a metal guy, so it easily appeals automatically, but I could see, again, this point of entrance of Wanderer being like, hey, this is your first taste, and if you like that, maybe get ready for more, and keep an open door. And maybe it's a welcome entrance. I don't know. I'd love to hear maybe some feedback on that if you happen to be in that position down below. I would imagine many of you who are approaching again are familiarized to Visions of Atlantis and you're longtime fans. Maybe some of you took that first entrance path. Broadly speaking, if you wish to disclose anything, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this piece and your angle of approach. And if you satisfy that idea. I don't know. I'm just throwing out, some possibilities here, right? But, that could be someone's point of approach. Wanderers could be the first piece that welcomes them into a fascination of Visions of Atlantis, and they deserve it. They deserve every fan they have, and I'm honored to call myself one at this point. More to come, eventually. That was our second wrap-up to an album, which will lead into our third experience, and the one that is closest to a date, for I know many of you would acknowledge that, and that is the Pirates album. I can't wait to get to that. I've picked out, I think, 5 songs in total for that? Yes. It'll be a fun ride. Just continuing the journey of Visions of Atlantis has been a real treat thus far, and I cannot wait to, at least at present, finish the journey with you in terms of a predetermined selection, though as far as I'm concerned, door is always open. To such talent like Vision of Atlantis, this is what I hope to spotlight in regards to music coverage, and I've been completely enamored every step of the way thus far, and I hope you have been too. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.